Like we do every week, let's give it up for those that are watching online. Yeah. You don't have to be in the church to be a part of the church. We all know that, and you're very important, very special, and we appreciate what you do, your prayers, your attendance online, and your giving. And but when you get a chance, do check it out in person. I promise you won't regret it. Before I go any further, I need to show my appreciation. I have to show appreciation to Pastor Jason for allowing me this opportunity to be on the stage. I'm honored. I'm humbled with the task of bringing God's word. He already covered it in the video, but it's in my notes, so I'm going to say it. He's in Mexico, for those that don't know. He's changing the world. Yeah. It's with a group of people here from the church, and because of you, because of me, because of those online, he's able to do it through our prayers, through our giving. And so keep praying, keep giving. I believe we're making strides. I really do. I think we're winning spiritual battles. I think we're changing the tides of the spiritual war that we're involved in. It is awesome to see where God has brought us. It's cool to imagine where we're going to go. I wasn't here in the beginning of a church called Home. We've only been here about 5 years or so. But in that time, I've seen God move. I've seen God move in ways that can only be explained by God moving. I've seen addicts freed. I've seen cancer healed. I've seen countless souls led to Christ, including my youngest son. I've seen miraculous financial blessing. I can go on and on, but I guess I won't get into the series. It's I declare war. It's pretty fitting. The last time he asked me these, maybe it's the time before, but within the last couple times I spoke, he asked me to do speak. The topic was winning the war in your mind. And so my first response was like, hey, I've done this before. It should be easy, right? But then very soon after that thought entered my mind, the enemy creeps in and I get stuck inside my own head. And I'm like, why is he asking me to do this again? Maybe I'm not winning the war. Maybe I'm doing a horrible job at it, And I'm doing so bad I can't even put my Sunday face on and fake the pastor out. So it didn't take too long, and then the Holy Spirit spoke to me. I doubt he speaks to you in the same language he does me, because typically he sounds like Brooks. And he tells me we're all in a battle. We're all in a constant battle. We can't let our guard down. We have to be prepared for an attack. It's not that we need to live our lives on edge or anything or in nervousness, but we have to be conscious of the enemy's influence in our world, and we have to have the knowledge, power, and wherewithal to react to it in a quick and effective manner. See, when times get hard, we have to stay hard. We have to stay the course. And honestly, the real truth of it all is that I'm sure it wasn't intentional for him to give me the same topic. I bet he forgot, but I didn't ask, so I won't know. But whatever. Maybe he'll tell me when he gets back. Even though this is a similar topic, it really is different in meaning. Winning the war in your mind, what I did before. I talked about your thoughts. Your motives. This one is more about your heart. It's about your will. It's about your drive. And I've realized the more that I get up here and do this, that I'm really preaching to myself. That I'm studying for my own growth. And I just pray that you guys can be influenced, and you guys can relate to what I'm saying. And I believe you can. I think I dripped. Let's see. We were in our old house, so this has probably been about 10 or 11 years ago. Brooks and I discovered a TV show on an investigation discovery called I Survived. Anybody ever seen that show? It's it influenced me to buy a gun and lock my house, and it's a pretty awesome show, though. Not all of them are horrible stories. It's the way the show goes, it's usually, I think it's an hour. It's usually 3 people, sometimes 2. And these people just tell their stories of how they survived horrific incidents in life. Sometimes it's a natural disaster. Sometimes it's, even being kidnapped or something, or maybe an animal attack. But it's them. It's just them one-on-one with the camera telling their stories, and it's pretty powerful. I remember this one story of Larry and Chrissy Waters, and they live in Montana, just a typical middle-class family. This was the middle of winter. They were going to go ice fishing. They had a shed or shack out on the lake. They take their truck out, and then they go as far as they feel safe, obviously, and then they take their four-wheeler off the back of the truck, and they're going to take it the rest of the way. And obviously the worst that could happen happens. The ice cracks. They immediately roll in to the freezing water. They're gasping. They're hurting. They're clawing at the ice. They're doing everything they can to get out, and they can't. They just can't get out. And so Larry, he says there's a moment that he realized we're going to die here, and looks at his wife, tells her he loves her, says goodbye, and obviously they didn't, because I'm listening to him tell the story, right? But it's but he reached that conclusion at that moment. I've never been exactly in that situation, but I can relate to that feeling on some level. See, they were in a situation that was beyond their control, and they felt absolutely powerless to escape from it. Have you guys ever been in a situation like that? Yeah. So what does that mean to you? What does that mean for you? What are you trapped in? What's broken your ice? Maybe it's disease. Maybe it's addiction, drugs, alcohol, pornography. I've battled all that. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's a doubt of yourself. Maybe it's a doubt of God. Maybe you're dealing with shame and regret. See, I can relate. I can relate to those, and I'm sure most of you can relate to those. So I just want you to ask yourself this morning, where is it in your life that you've allowed Satan to take a foothold and make it a stronghold? Where is it that you've given up, maybe, or you're thinking about giving up, and that you've accepted the reality of this is just how it is? Well, I've got a few minutes left, and I want to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. 100% does not have to be that way. And if you're a believer, if you're a follower of Christ, it should not be that way. Let's look at Jeremiah 29:11. Most of us who have seen a Bible probably know this verse. It is a very common verse that we love to go to. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. That's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, so awesome. This is probably one of the top 10 feel-good verses of the Bible, I would imagine. When we need that pick-me-up, when a friend is down, we love to reference this. But how many of us really know the next few verses? Jeremiah goes on to say, then you will call on me, come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me, you will find me, when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back from captivity. It's still got them warm feelies, don't it? It feels good. It still packs a punch, a hard punch. But this is not a just because kind of thing, like 29:11 sometimes feels like. Sometimes we feel like we're owed because of that verse. But God says he will deliver us from captivity. He makes that promise to us. And all those things I mentioned a moment ago, right? The disease, the addictions, depression, anger, shame, regret. That's all captivity. That's what keeps us captive. That's what's broke your ice. So who wants to come back from that pain? Who wants to come back from suffering and sorrow and depression and disease and addiction and guilt? I do. Then he spells it out. We have to search him. We have to search him with all of our heart. You might say, well, Josh, buddy, I looked for a few minutes on Sunday, and I think I felt him when we were singing. But now it's Tuesday, and I got my phone in my hand. There's nobody around. I'm bored. I'm just, maybe I'll just do a quick little image search and see what happens, Maybe you've had a tough week, and you say, it's hard. My job is hard. I deserve some drinks to wind down. I earned it. Maybe you're saying, I've seen other people at a church called Home healed. I've seen their diseases healed, but it's not as bad as mine. I've got it worse. That can't happen to me. Maybe you're saying, I can't believe that my wife pushed my buttons the way she did. I shouldn't have to apologize for saying something when she started it. That doesn't sound like your whole heart to me. That sounds like just a little bitty bit of your heart. And that's not what God says, right? He says that he will deliver us from those things. He says that he will bind those things when we search him with our whole heart. Paul tells us, I like to quote Paul, maybe because he wrote half the New Testament, but Paul searches God with his whole heart. And he tells us from a prison cell in Philippians to keep going. In one of his most vulnerable and pain-filled moments, times in his life, he's encouraging the church of Philippi. He's not worried about himself. He's encouraging the church. And he reminds them of his humanity. And then he expresses how he is not giving up. He's telling us how he found God when he searched for him. See, Paul's using his whole heart by pouring into others. I like how the Message Bible puts it from Philippians 3:12 and 14. I'm not saying that I have all this together or that I have it made, but I'm well on my way. Reaching out for Christ, who has so wondrously reached out for me. Friends, don't get me wrong. By no means do I count myself an expert in all this, but I've got my eye on the goal, where God is beckoning us onward to Jesus. I'm off and running, and I am not turning back. I am not turning back. See, he was in prison. He had been beaten. He was shackled, but he wasn't giving up. He could have. He very easily could have. Some people would say maybe he should have given up on his ministry. Look at where it got him. Look at where he was at that moment. And now look at yourself. I look at me. I have never experienced physical pain because of my faith. Ever. I've never been imprisoned because I love God. But I have felt uncomfortable speaking up because I want people to like me. I don't want to be an outcast. I've chosen to give in to my flesh instead of holding out, like Paul says, and reaching out. I've suppressed urges of the Holy Spirit to go and pray for people because I didn't want them to think I was some sort of holier-than-thou religious weirdo. I've turned Netflix on instead of opening my Bible. There's nothing wrong with TV. I've laughed at things when I shouldn't have because I wanted my coworkers to think that, that I fit in. I didn't want to be cast out. I've given up on God's promise of healing because he didn't respond after a couple of prayers. Does it sound like any of you? Can y'all agree with any of this today? So let's look some more about what Paul tells us in Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary of doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest. If what? If we do not give up. That's all of our heart. That's whole heart. In 2 Thessalonians, he says, and as for you, brothers and sisters, never tire of doing what is good. Never. That's whole heart. In Hebrews, you need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. Persevere. Stay with it. That's your whole heart. Jesus tells us in the book of Matthew, the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. Not the one who stands firm will be saved, but stands firm to the end, your whole heart. James tells us anyone who meets a testing challenge head on and manages to stick it out is mighty fortunate. For such persons loyally in love with God, the reward is life and more life. That's all your heart. That's your whole heart. The New Testament's full of references of not giving up, right? I think most of us have heard probably many times and probably said many times that life is hard. And that's because it is hard. And the Christian life may be harder. Maybe. But the reward that we're promised is so worth the efforts asked of us, right? We have freedom. We have peace. We have joy, love. We have our salvation. I was talking about TV, and I've got a lot of TV references in my sermon, but whatever. Maybe I was watching this one on my computer. It was a documentary about Tim Leatherman. Anybody know who Tim Leatherman is? His name is synonymous with the multi-tool. And please don't hold it against me. This is not a real Leatherman. This is a cheap Walmart knockoff. I didn't want to spend the money on a sermon illustration. I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't diminish what I got to say. But Mr. Leatherman came up with this tool, and it became, like I said, synonymous with his name. His name is synonymous with the multi-tool. He came up with the idea when he was traveling through Europe with his wife. They rented a Fiat very cheaply, and almost lost my balance. And it needed frequent roadside repairs. So he was like, man, wouldn't it be nice to have a single tool that that had a pair of pliers and a knife and a screwdriver and wire cutters and all the other nifty things that are on here. And so he got back home and decided he was going to make that. It took him 3 years to finally get a patent. 3 years that he worked, and he finally got a patent. And then he goes to sell it. Store after store after store after store after store after store. No. Nope. The knife people were like, that's too much of a tool. And then the tool people were like, that's too much of a knife. But finally, after 9 years and 500 rejection letters, he got a purchase, a substantial purchase from Cabela's. They bought $5,000 worth of his Leatherman multi-tools. And the rest is history. He didn't give up. He could have given up. Maybe he should have given up, some people would say, but he didn't give up. And now he owns a company that has an annual revenue of over $85 million. See, it was his perseverance that allowed him to win the war within himself. In that 9 years, he tells a story about, maybe about midway. It was on it was one of his birthdays. I don't remember which one. But he just sat in his garage and he cried because he couldn't succeed. He felt like a failure. But he didn't give up. When everyone else had told him no, he kept going. I'm about to wrap it up and pray. But I know most of you are thinking, Josh, what happened to Larry and Chrissy? Well, I'll tell you. Larry says he accepted his fate. They were going to die. They were going to die there together. And he hugged her, he kissed her, told her he loved her, let his hand fall to his side. and he felt his Leatherman tool on his belt. And he took it out, and he was able to stab it into the ice and anchor himself deep enough that he pulled out. He grabbed his wife, pulled her out, and at the end of this video, it showed them they were able to meet Tim Leatherman face to face and thank him for his perseverance and what he did. And all I could think is how for almost 9 years, 9 years, he kept going after being told no. Nope, we're not going to do it. Nope, we're not going to do it. And it turns out it was not just his life that he was saving. And you can't give up because it's not just your life. I can't give up because it's not just my life. It's not about us. We are here for other people. You have to win the war within. I need to win the war within. But don't forget that you're not the only one fighting a difficult battle. Let's pray.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's message. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, if today you're watching and you're away from God, you don't have a personal relationship with Christ, I'd love to pray for you. And right where you are, you can open your heart to Jesus and receive His grace and His mercy in your life. So if that's you, do me a favor right where you are. Just stop and repeat after me. Come on, bow your head if you can and let's pray. Say, Lord Jesus, I thank you for loving me. I thank you for going to the cross for me, for the wrong I did. I'm asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to come into my life. I'm asking you to wash me inside and out. I receive your love today. I receive your grace. Thank you for a new start. In Jesus' name, come on, say it with me. Amen. Hey, listen, if you prayed that prayer, I would love to celebrate with you. Do me a favor, text the words "Welcome Home" to 94,000. When you do that, you're going to get a digital copy, a link to a digital copy of our connection card. If you'll do me a favor and fill that out, I want to send you a copy of one of my latest books, Making a New Start. That's what you've done, and I promise you it'll be a blessing to you. So until next time, be blessed. Can't wait to see you again. Welcome home.